Alright, so if we're wanting to write that in a polynomial function, we got to first off put them in factor forms and then multiply it from there. So factor forms, if I'm to get negative 2 as an answer, it comes from the factor of x plus 2. If I'm to get negative 1 as an answer, it comes from the factor as x plus 1. Everybody understand that? So if you had x plus 1 and set that equal to 0, that's where the negative 1 would come from. Okay, so if I had negative I, that comes from x plus I. And then if I had I, that comes from x minus I. Okay, so now I'm going to start multiplying. I'm going to do the normal looking stuff together, and then I'll do the i's together after that. On this, that gets me x squared. On my outer and inner, that's going to combine for a 3x because you get 1x and 2x. And then on my last, that's 2. Okay, now on this thing, over here with the i's, I'm going to FOIL that also. I'm going to put a parentheses around that. That gets me x squared. Here, that's minus ix and plus ix. So those cancel out. And on your last, that's minus I times I is I squared. What's I squared the same as? Negative 1. So minus negative 1 means that's the same as plus 1. Now, where a lot of people went wrong on this yesterday is then they started trying to add like terms. Well, up here in the original problem, there's no addition in between any of those parentheses. It's still multiply. So these two things now I still need to multiply. I can't FOIL because this is a trinomial. I'm going to take the x squared and distribute it to everything, and then I'm going to take the 1 and distribute it to everything. So that'll get me x to the 4th plus 3x squared. No, 3x cubed, dummy. X squared times x is cubed. 3x cubed plus 2x squared. Now I got my 1. X squared. 3x. And 2. So I combine my like terms, and the only like terms I had there that I stacked up were the x squareds. So remember we were writing a function, so I'm going to give it its function name now. F of x is x to the 4th plus 3x cubed. 2x squared and x squared is 3x squared. 3x and 2. That's it. No. Made me think I might have messed up for a minute.
Yeah, for the first time I was thinking I messed up.
Alright, number 2. Okay, ready? Okay. Let's see a couple people writing. Alright, number 2 is the same type of problem. They gave us x's or zeros of 4, negative square root of 5, and negative 5. So same as with an I, is that square root of negative 5, negative square root of 5. If we have a negative square root of 5, we also have a positive square root of 5. Okay, so I'm going to write all this stuff in factor form. This 4 would be x minus 4. I'm going to bring the 5, this negative 5 over with it. I'm going to keep the normal stuff together and the weird stuff together. So it'll be x plus 5. Now this negative square root of 5 would be x plus the square root of 5. And this square root of 5 would be x minus the square root of 5. Okay, so now I'm doing the same thing as I did on the last one. This will give me x squared plus 5x and minus 4x is plus x. And then minus 20. Okay, here on this with the square roots, that gets me x squared. Negative square root of 5x and positive square root of 5x cancels out. And then on the last, square root of 5 times the square root of 5 is the square root of 25, which is 5. So since one was a positive and one's a negative, it'll be minus 5. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing we did on the previous problem. We're going to distribute x squared to everything. So it's me x to the 4th plus x cubed minus 20x squared. Now I'm going to take my negative 5 to everything. Minus 5x squared minus 5x plus 100. So again, I've only got those x squareds to combine. F of x is equal to x to the 4th plus x cubed minus 25x squared minus 5x plus 100.
Wait, how'd you get x squared minus 5? Why would it be plus?
Because it was a positive times a negative. Positive times a negative is a negative.
You did it right. On the test, we take what's off if we forget that, right?
Probably will just like give you a negative test rate. Just kidding. It'll be okay.
Okay.
She looked at me like I know she's kidding, but I don't know what to say.
I was like, oh God, I hope not, because I always forget about that.
Alright, we ready for the next section? This section here, 3 through 8, this is where you better get them all right. I mean, those are the easier kind. No missing points on 3 through 8 if we can avoid it. We got 2x minus 2 squared on number 3. Okay, the directions for this section say find the product or quotient. That just means you're multiplying or dividing. This thing, when it's squared, that means we take that quantity and write it twice. So that's just a FOIL problem. First, get you 4x squared. Outer, get you minus 4x. Inner, get you minus 4x. Last, get you 4. So that would be negative 4x minus 4x is negative 8x. Alright, number 5, or 4, excuse me. We're only on number 4. Well, 4 was a fun one because the answer was so different.
It was forever long.
And we got 10th powers happening. I like it. Alright, starts off with c to the 8th minus 6 times c squared minus 4c minus 2. We can't FOIL because this second one's trinomial, so we're just going to distribute the c to the 8th to everything, distribute the negative c to everything. C to the 8th times c squared, when you multiply, those powers just get added, so 8 and 2 makes that c to the 10th. C to the 8th times negative 4c would be negative 4c to the 9th, because 8 and 1 is 9. And then c to the 8th times negative 2 is just negative 2c to the 8th. Okay, now we got to take the negative 6 to everything. Negative 6 times c squared is negative 6c squared. It's not a like term to stack that with. Negative 6 times negative 4c is positive 24c. And then negative 6 times negative 2, positive 12. That's it.
Is it okay if you put x instead of c?
Yeah, I don't care about that. You know how to do it, doesn't matter what variable you use. Alright, number 5, got some division. On number 5, I chose to do synthetic division. It will work synthetically because you're dividing by x minus 4, and that's a 1x to the first power, so it will work with synthetic. So let me get my synthetic stuff set up. Y'all ready? Alright, we had 4x cubed, 20x squared, 12x, negative 16. Now, since we're dividing by x minus 4, so that means you have to set that equal to 0 and solve, so it's a positive 4 that's going outside your box. Now, you'd be surprised how many people were working this throughout the day yesterday, and they came and said, I don't know where I messed up, and I looked at it, and they brought down, right here, they brought down a 1, because that's what the majority of them in our notes look like. You don't bring a 1 down, you bring that number down. Okay? So I'm going to drop my 4. Then I multiply. 4 times 4 is 16. Then I add. 20 plus 16 is 36. Then I multiply. 36 times 4. I wrote it too little. I can't read it. 144. 144. And then I add. That's 156. And then I multiply. 624. And then I add and I get 608. Now, a lot of people also forgot the directions to the problem, so they thought that that didn't work. It didn't say solve, it just said divide. You can have a remainder when you divide. So my answer here, this started off as, what was it, 4x cubed. So that means my answer, this 4 is 1 power less, is going to be 4x squared plus 36x. My constant's 156. My remainder over what I divided by. That's it. Alright, so then 6 went back to multiplication again. Are you ready for 6? Alright, it's got b plus 3 times b plus 3 times b plus 2. Alright, so I'm going to just FOIL the first two, and then whatever I get, I'll multiply it with the last one. So that gets me b squared. Outer's 3b and inner's 3b, so that's 6b. And then last is 9. So now I've still got the b plus 2 to bring down to the party. So b times b squared is b cubed. b times 6b is 6b squared. b times 9 is 9b. 2 times b squared is 2b squared. 2 times 6b is 12b. And 2 times 9 is 18. So we got b cubed plus 6 and 2 will be 8b squared. 9 and 12 will be 21b plus 18. Bless you. She's allergic to you, Anna.
I know.
So far, so good? You good up there, Abby?
Yes, what?
Abby, don't on her own on that side.
No, it's sad.
Okay, David holds this side down, and you move that side down. All right, number 7 is division again, but you can't do synthetic on it. You're dividing by an x squared, so it's got to be long division. So the second piece is what goes outside, so you'll have x squared minus, started to write plus, minus 3x plus 1. One mistake I saw in a lot of people's yesterday is they didn't realize on the inside there was a 0 variable in there. 3x to the 4th minus 2x cubed plus 0x squared plus 5x minus 3. You forget that 0, you're going to have problems. Alright, this fun stuff of long division starts off by saying the first thing outside times what gets us the first thing inside. So if I had a kid, Kylie, so it'll be 3x squared. Now we distribute that to all three of these pieces. 3x squared times x squared is 3x to the 4th. 3x squared times negative 3x is negative 9x cubed. 3x squared times 1 is 3x squared. Now you're subtracting. 3x to the 4th minus 3x to the 4th is nothing. Negative 2 minus negative 9, that's 7. 0 minus 3, that's negative 3. Now you got to bring down your buddy 5x. We do that again. We say x squared times what gets me 7x cubed? 7x, so we throw plus 7x and we distribute it to all three pieces. 7x times x squared is 7x cubed. 7x times negative 3x is negative 21x squared, and 7x times 1 is 7x. Subtract. 7x cubed minus negative 7, rewind. 7x cubed minus 7x cubed is nothing. Negative 3 minus negative 21. So people mixed up on that. Negative 3 minus negative 21, I think is 18 in it. And then 5 minus 7 would be negative 2. Bring down your minus 3. It's the last thing, so this has got to be my last go around. X squared times what gets me 18x squared? I had a kid, put that plus 18 up there. 18 times x squared. 18 times negative 3x, is that negative 54? Negative 54x, and then 18, oops, I left a 4. 18 times 1 is 18. Subtract. Nothing here. Negative 2 minus negative 54, that'd be 52. And negative 3 minus 18 would be negative 21. So that's my remainder. So my answer, I've got 3x squared on the top plus 7x plus 18 plus my remainder 5x or 52x. 52x minus 21 over what I divided by x squared minus 3x plus 1. Yay for long division! Those highlighter colors are so much more pretty on the computer. They lose a lot on that projector. Alright, we got one more in this section. We alright? Alright, number 8, 3x plus 1 cubed. That means I have to take 3x plus 1 3 times. Now, someone in one of the classes yesterday actually asked, this does go along with the lesson we did on Pascal's triangle. You could go to the third row of Pascal's triangle and do it that way. Since it's just third power, I think it's just as fast just to go ahead and multiply them. So I'm going to do that. Is that all right? Okay, good. Because I don't remember Pascal's triangle off the top of my head. 9x squared plus 3x and plus 3x is plus 6x plus 1. Now I got another 3x plus 1 to bring on down. 27x cubed, 18x squared, 3x, 9x squared, 6x, and I like to play, Maybe I'll play near Thanksgiving. I always play cards and dominoes.
Yeah, we do too.
What's that? 18 times 27. That's it.
Every time I have 2 3s, I always put 9, so I got messed up.
Oh.
Yeah.
Alright, now we got an A, B, and C. Y'all are doing good. Now we got an A, B, and C.
These are pretty easy.
Yeah, they are. A is a little tricky. Easy but tricky. Because you got conflicting information on A. It says, it gives you, let me write down those equations, and it gives you f of x is x to the 4th, and g of x is x plus 4 to the 4th. So in part A, it says how many zeros does each function have? Well, if I look only at those equations that I have up there on the board, I'm not looking at the graph yet, the degree is 4. The degree tells me there's 4 zeros, right? But then you go and look at the graph, and remember zeros means where it crosses the x-axis, and you see those things only touching the x-axis once. So how do I see 4 zeros there and 1 0 on the graph? Gracie.
Well, doesn't it go down and then come back up, so that counts as 2 times?
It kind of rests on it a little bit. That was my explanation that time, yeah.
It's 4, so.
Well, it's kind of a little wider too. That would be the way my brain would. That doesn't make it right. That's just the way my brain. But anyway, here's what I would write if I were you. It has 1 0 with a multiplicity. Oh, remember that word? How come I can't spell, but I can spell multiplicity? With a multiplicity of 4. Because it only touched the x-axis one time, but it camped out there. It built a campfire and roasted some marshmallows.
Or could you just say 4 because there's a degree of 4?
Mm-hmm. That would work as well.
If you just said 4, that would be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I'm not even
All right. And that's the same for both of those, F and G, because they're both the 4th power. All right. Part B says describe the transformation. Well, I look up here at my equations. This G has plus 4 in the parentheses. In the parentheses means it went left or right. Plus means left, so it went left 4 units. Alright, C says, determine the intervals for which the function g is increasing. So it's only worried about g, the one on the left. Okay, the vertex looking spot of that g one is on -4. So if we read that graph left to right there on the g function, it goes down until it hits -4, and then it goes up from -4, right? So it goes down, it decreases anywhere where x is smaller than -4. Anywhere on the left of -4, it's going down. It increases then on the right of -4, because that's where it starts going back up. So that's when x is greater than -4.
If I wrote it like this, is it wrong?
If you wrote it out with words, it would be good. No, that's good. Yeah, that's good. That's good. All right, everybody okay? 10A was an interesting question. I showed it out algebraically. Showed my work on why -5 didn't work algebraically. But then somebody pointed out the common sense way. And normally, I usually do the common sense way. So it was weird to me that I didn't think of it. But when you read the problem up there, you're talking about the dimensions of a hot tub. So why can -5 not work?
Because you can have a negative.
Right. How are you going to measure a -5 dimension on a hot tub? So if you just wrote that, that's okay. Can't have a negative dimension. You can't measure. Okay. I did it using synthetic. When I showed my work to explain it, I did it using synthetic division, and I didn't get a 0 in the remainder spot. Okay, so that would be, y'all with me on that?
So if you did that, would you have to explain in words, or could you just show that there wasn't a 0?
There's not a 0. I think I'm just looking at my work where I did it. When I did the -5, the remainder spot ended up equaling -360.
Yeah.
And that's not a 0. So that would work as well.
Is it okay if I just plugged in -5 and I got that?
Yes, yes. Plug that into the original equation. It'll get you that. Yes. All right, part B says show that x plus 2 is a factor, and then factor completely. So that means x plus 2 must work. It must have a remainder of 0. So I set it up synthetically for part B. I'm going to erase this here. I don't want to waste a page. So that would be not good. Nobody caught on that. I can't waste a page. 1x cubed minus 10x squared, 11x, 70. And it's telling me x plus 2. So if it's x plus 2, that means it's a -2 that I'm putting out there, right? So 1 times -2 is -2. I add and get -12. I multiply and get 24. I add and get 35. I multiply and get -70. I add and get 0. So that proved that it's a factor because I got a 0 there. Now the directions after that says then factor completely. So that means this is a 1x squared minus 12x plus 35. Factors of 35 that add to -12 are -7. I can't write. And, let me erase that. And -5.
You have to set those equal to 0?
No, it doesn't say solve. It just says to factor. So those are 2 of my factors. And then let me go ahead and write the other one that they already told me. So there's the thing factored completely.
I'm always forgetting something.
That's how this thing gets you. It has a bunch of little parts.
Yeah.
All right, when you get that one done, we're on the back page. We skip number 11, so we're looking at 12.
I didn't do anything on that.
All right, 12, it says the graph of a cubic function is shown. Describe the degree and the leading coefficient. Well, they told you the degree. It says the graph of a cubic function. So the degree of a cubic function is 3. Okay, and then it wants us to describe the leading coefficient. And we're not going to get real super technical in this. You could go and figure out exactly what it is, but I'm just going to describe it as quick and easy as I can right here. And I look at that graph reading from left to right. It goes uphill first, doesn't it? So that would have to just be a positive number in the leading coefficient spot. Did anybody actually solve and get it? You could have picked some points off of
That's
there
a lot
and
easier.
worked
I
that.
thought you had to.
That's what I did, but I was like, I think it's wrong. But I didn't know how to solve people for them.
That's just tell me it's positive or negative and you'll be good. 13. Got an A and a B on 13. Let me write those two functions down for us. G is equal to 6t to the 4th plus t cubed minus 2t squared plus 5t plus 60. J, 3t to the 4th minus 3t cubed plus 5t squared minus 5t plus 45. Alright, so G is number in billions of new green tea sales. J is fruit juice sales. During a 20-year period, they can come up with those equations. A says find a new model A, so we're going to say A equals for the total number of green tea and fruit. So they're just wanting to combine green tea and fruit. So just adding like terms. So A is going to be equal to 6t to the 4th and 3t to the 4th is 9t to the 4th. These cubes cancel out. 3t cubed, negative 3t cubed is nothing. Negative 2t squared and 5t squared is a positive 3t squared. The 5t's cancel out. 5 and negative 5 is nothing. And then 60 and 45 is 105. So pretty simple on that. Okay, B's pretty simple. Is that an even or an odd or neither? We don't even know what a neither is. Is that an even or an odd? What's our degree? Okay, what's our degree? Y'all were right on the answer, but what's our degree? 4, and 4 is an even number. So we would say even, and to explain that, our degree is 4. See those? 12 and 13? Maybe two of the easiest ones. Y'all looked at all that, got bogged down, and panicked a little bit.
So wait, is 13B, would that, you know, that, because of like that chart we made that was like degree, even, and positive.
So just know that our degree is 4, and 4 is an even number.
Oh.
Yeah, see, you're making it too hard. Yep. All right. 14, last one. Actually got faster than I thought we would. Says the function v of x equals 27x squared minus 9x represents the volume in cubic yards of the cylinder shown. W of x takes that v function and then multiplies it by 1/3 x. That represents it in cubic feet. So they're just making, what's that called? Where you go back and forth conversions? Conversions. I couldn't think of that. Thank you, Coach. Making conversions there. This says, write a rule for W, find W of 15. So we're going to go to the W one here. We're going to plug a 15 in on that. What's 1/3 of 15? Y'all know that. What's 1/3 of 15? 5. So that means that we've got to take that 5 then and plug that into the v function, because this says v of 5 now. So you're going to have 27 times 5 squared minus 9 times 5. I didn't write down all that gets big. 25 times 27. I didn't write it all down. I ended up getting 630 feet. Gonna check that, make sure. That's it.
Okay, so
what
I
you
didn't
do?
find them in wrong order. What I did is, for the v and the w equation, I plugged in the thing it said for v, and I got a completely different answer. So do I have to do it in the order you did it?
Did you still get 630?
No, I got
No,
132.
then you got to do it in the same order again. All right, let me tell you a little for tomorrow stuff. We'll be able to use your notes. We'll be able to use your study guide. Have all that.